So welcome back to another weekly watch list. We've got a good few pairs for next week. We've analysed them all, so we're going to batter through them right now, and we're going to give you all the positions that we look to take Monday through Friday. So as you can see, in the purple is all the ones that we're looking to take. We do have a couple of ones that we want to go over from last week that played out exactly as we did. Some of them we got in, some of them we didn't get in. We missed them unfortunately, but nonetheless, it's good to see your analysis move in the direction and actually hit take profit. So I mean, this is just one that we have here, EuroCAD. This is one that we didn't get in, unfortunately, but as you can see, that's the same analysis from last week, and I would have hit take profit. But moving on to the ones that we actually are focusing on, we're going to leave the top one out for now. But again, Eur Usd, it's the same analysis from last week. We got this ascending triangle formation. As you can see, prices pushing up and up and up and up, and we do anticipate a break to the upside, a comeback and retest into this zone, and then we are looking to take price all the way up to around about the 1.68000 handle. So again, this is what we're going to be looking for in Eur Usd. We're going to try and maybe even get a really aggressive entry if we come back down here for hopefully the last time. Get our stop loss nicely out the way, something like this. Nicely out the way, depends what the market gives us, and then that's what we'll be looking to take on Eur Usd. Again, it's just going to be down to patience. We've not had to do much analysis because it's the same analysis from last week, which is great. We just need to sit back and watch the market. So Euro Gbp, potentially looking for a little quick short back down to the 0.5 handle on the Fibonacci level. Just taking it from the bottom of these lows to the tops of these highs. As you can see here, we came back down nicely the last time we touched this zone, and we are really failing to break above this zone. It's proven to be a really strong level of resistance, and as you can see here, if we zoom in on Friday, the buyers have really tried one last time to push into this zone and have been rejected, and we've closed and formed what could be classed as a shooting star candle minus this little wick at the bottom here, but it's a good indication that we could roll over, and I would expect us to roll over to around about the 0.86000 handle in line with the 0.5 Fibonacci level. So that's what we're looking at for that. Euro USD. Now if we zoom out, as you can see here on the weekly, we have this counter trend line in a bearish fashion, and it has been respected pretty well. Now, because this is a weekly trend line, we want to see the weekly close outside of this trend line for confirmation. Okay, now what happened is we actually did break that on the 4 hour ever so slightly, but then look what happened. We've started to come back down again. Now, as you can see here, it was to trick most people because it has technically broken on the 4 hour, and then you can see we found support. So some people might have even entered in this hammer candle here, put their stop loss here, and then thought, yes, that's it, we're just going to keep scaling up, and nonetheless come back down and take their stop loss and go the complete opposite way because they have not really waited and been patient enough for a close. And as you can see here, the weekly candle has pushed up, and at the end of Friday here, we've closed back down into a really interesting area of support. So we're going to be watching this area of support to see what happens next. We'll be looking for buys if we get a nice big rejection from this area pointing upwards. But I would be very careful because this trend line is proven to be very strong. So for buys, just to be safe, I would wait until we've cleared this trend line, and then if we are looking for sells, as you can see here, we're going to have a little bit of a stall, then we'll probably break a little bit lower, come back up maybe to retest, and then we could take price action all the way back down to round about this zone here. As you can see, it's a really nice level. We've got our lows and inverse head and shoulders, so this is roughly where I'd be taking it down. I'd probably just cut a short 1.17600 long-term target, but if we are looking for buys, of course, we're going to need a lot more development on Euro USD. But as you can see, it has been quite overextended, so patience is going to be the key factor in us getting in this trade. Shorts, we're looking for a break and retest of this zone, but for long positions, we are looking for a weekly close above this. So USD Jpy, again, targets are roughly around 110.500 to 700, and if we go down in the lower time frames, this played out exactly as we did anticipate in previous webinars. So it's really good to see the price action moving in the exact direction that we said it was going to, but nonetheless we need to make sure that we capitalize and get a couple more entries in this, because there's still a lot of room to go. So for the price range at 108,600, let's say, so let's just say here, if we come back down to retest this zone, say 108,800, we could potentially be banking 185 pips, which is quite a significant move. But again, you've got to really be looking out for a good solid entry. Now, could we possibly get one here? Maybe. We could possibly get one here, a bounce of this trend line, and a push up higher. Now, that's what we were going to be looking for in USD Jpy. We have looked at the dollar index, and we'll touch on it briefly before we finish out this video, so you can get a good understanding of where the price action's maybe going to go. But this is quite a steep trend line, so you never know. We might actually break this here. Come back down and then retest somewhere in here, and then have a push up higher. But again, we're just going to draw this out, keep it there, and see how the market reacts. Of course, with the dollar looking like it's going to pick up some bullish momentum, we can anticipate buyers stepping in the market. But again, that's all we can do is anticipate, and we're going to watch this pair very closely to get another buy entry back up to around 110,500. So US dollar Swiss, a very, very interesting pair. Oh, it's very, very, very interesting. More often than not, these are very successful types of trades. As you can see here, 362 pips potentially. In fact, let me just quickly go back to something. So potentially we could be making 362 pips, but what does that even mean? Nobody really cares about pips. If we risk 2% on this trade, we could be making 20% on this trade alone. So it is highly, highly, highly on our watch list. This is why I'm putting this away down here, so I can give it very, very close attention. So we are anticipating, of course, we did have a lot of rejection here. This zone, it's perfectly in line with the trend line and a support zone, and looks like we have a little counter trend line that we need to break here. So for those of you who want to play it safe, you can wait for the break, maybe a retest into this zone here, and then a push back up. Hopefully you'll be able to see this little zone here. You can maybe have something along the lines of this. But for those of you who want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can get in on a little small pullback, maybe into here, and then squeeze as much profits as humanly possible. So that's what we're looking at on US dollar Swiss. Very, very exciting trade. Could be making a lot of money here. So if we go out to the weekly on NZD USD, you'll see what we were looking at. We had this nice bullish run up, and now once we had broken this bullish trend line, we've come back up to retest as an area of resistance again, and look what's happened on Friday here, or for that whole week, sorry. We've actually formed a perfect, almost perfect shooting star candle, which would indicate, just like we predicted last week, that we are going to have a push down. So we are going to be looking for sell positions on the lower time frames, absolutely 100%. And it also goes in with the bias that the dollar is going to be strong, because the dollar, of course, is on the second half of this pair. So if the dollar goes up and it's strong, it's going to drive NZD USD down. So again, how could we play this? How could we look for potential entries? Well, we could look for potential entries by a number of ways. We can maybe throw an auto Fibonacci here. You can see right to the top of here. We could have, there's multiple things that could happen. We could have a break, we could come back up and retest the 0.23 and then go all the way down to this level, just under 0.69500, so it's roughly about 0.69433. And that's particularly what we are looking at on this pair. We're looking for a small little pullback because we've broken this low. So we're looking for a lower low, which we've got. Now we would come back and create a lower high because it fails to break this high here. And then we would potentially be looking for something along the lines of this. So could be a very, very, very good risk to reward. And you're risking 2%. You're just over 12% for the trade, which is great. This is what we're looking for. So that's what we're looking for in NZD. Silver, not really a pair we trade too often, but, or a commodity that we trade too often, sorry. It's very, very simple. We've just broken this bullish trend line. We've actually come out the bottom here. Now we're coming back up to retest as an area of resistance, and then we could look for short positions back down. And we have quite a bit of space to play with here, so around about the 19.500 level, it would take quite a while to do this. As you can see, not much has really been happening recently. We have had this little nice run up, run up, run up. Now we are slowly starting to creep away from this level in a bearish fashion. So I would probably want something like this, a nice push down to solidify the move, come back up into this zone here. So you have where all this liquidity once was, a nice little support zone, support zone, support zone, support zone. So really you want that to be breaking, come back in to the B wave and then down to something like this. Of course, we could have a much longer term target, but if you wanted a nice quick trade, just take it down to the bottom of the 23.785 handle. That would ensure a nice quicker trade if you want to have your money put into something else. But longer term, we are looking for 19.500 handle roughly. So moving on to Euro CHF, we have this symmetrical triangle that does seem to be wanting to break to the downside. So again, a little bit of patience is going to have to be ensued here, but we are going to be careful because we are part of a much bigger move. So I'm going to throw on a Fibonacci here in this zone, and I'm going to see how price action is reacting to these levels. If we react nicely and we have a nice big push down but close perfectly on one of these levels, I will be looking to take buys back to the tops of one of these highs, maybe this one, or this one, just depending on how price action is going to go. Because although we are breaking down to the downside, this could just be a pullback from this initial move, right? And if we have from the top to the bottom here, see, you can see that's perfectly top to the bottom. If we just copy and paste that, we could potentially be seeing a much bigger move, depending on where we actually land. So we could have much bigger targets, but to be safe, I would just take it to the tops of these highs. But if you wanted to look left and see just roughly where this would get you, there could be a nice little area in here. Let's see, let's do it better than that. Could potentially be a nice little area in here, somewhere in this region, but again, there's nothing really sticking out to me that could say, okay, these are definitely great targets to be putting our trades into. Again, we'll have this level here, but it's just above these highs, so I would disregard that and even just take the trade back up to those highs. But again, we are, no matter what happens, looking for a buy or a sell, because if we do get a push lower, it respects this zone, comes back in, respects these two double bottoms here, then of course we will definitely be looking for a sell position round about here. So whether it's a buy or a sell on Euro CHF, don't really care. We're going to be making money either way. Aussie CAD, let's have a look. Okay, so if we go out to the weekly here, we'll get a good understanding of what we're actually looking at. We did anticipate this slightly broadening channel to come back down into this region and push up higher. Didn't actually work out, as you can see. So what do we have on our hands now? If we go down to the lower time frames, we are just going to look for a nice and simple break and retest to this zone. So we're going to have the break, so it's what we've already had, the retest, and then back down roughly to the 0.93000 handle. So that's all we are looking at on Aussie CAD. Nice and simple sell setups, absolutely. CAD Jpy, again, super overextended, very overextended. We're going to need a pullback, as you guys all know. There is push and pull phases to every part of the market. So as you can see here, we've got a couple of nice weekly highs around about this zone here. So this is quite a big weekly level. We've had a nice touch here. We've had several touches in here, and then we've had a nice touch in here. I can maybe make that just a little bit bigger just to match the tops of the wick, and then that's pretty much that. So will we break above this level? Who knows? I am anticipating that we're going to have shorts soon, so we can capitalize on that. So how do we know where to take price action to? Well, if I was taking a short position anywhere near this level, I would have to play it safe and realize, right, we do have this bottom trend line that we still have to break. So for me, I would take it back down into this region here. A nice there we go. So we've got nice touches here, nice touches here, nice touches here, and it lands up perfectly as a little protector from this trend line, because we know that if we do come into this trend line, we could easily bounce back up again. So we want to make our targets just before. So that's what I would be looking for, round about the 0.86000 handle. Again, we'll need to wait for confirmation on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the lower time frames to make sure that our bias is correct, and it might just be a short-term bias. We might just be trading counter trend. We're not trying to catch falling knives by saying that the market's going to be bearish from here on out. Absolutely not. We're just making sure that we are able to make money from both angles. So CHF Jpy, last three pairs again. For a nice break of this ascending wedge pattern. So really the sky is the limit. We are just going to play it patient, wait for a further break up, come back down into this zone and see what we get. We could easily come back into the zone, break lower. It could mess us about a little bit, but nonetheless we're going to be keeping a close eye on this pair. So if we go to the 4 hour, you can typically see what's happening. We have had a break. We've had a good few candles outside of the pattern, which will tell us that the break has been accepted, and then we're going to see just what happens when we come back down into this outside trend line that was part of the ascending wedge pattern. Are we going to get some support? Are we going to crash back through and then use this, what would have been support, as resistance again back down to the bottom? Again, nobody knows. We're just anticipating things. It's not really an exciting trade for me. Just want to watch, so we're going to put that back up there. So GBP CHF, again, dominantly we're looking for shorts in this pair now, because we have on the weekly, let's see what happened here. On the weekly, we actually did close above this. We failed, really struggled for weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to try and maintain this break, but there was just not enough buyers to keep pushing us up. Now we've had a nice push down in the last couple of weeks, came back up, we formed that shooting star last week, and then now this week we are looking to be quite dominant in a bearish fashion. So targets can be anywhere down in this region. So a nice trade for us to be looking at. We're going to be trying to get in probably on this. Okay, that's just what we're going to be looking for. Let's just clean this up a little bit. It's quite a nice clean setup, and typically what we're just looking for is boom, push down lower. Again, targets will be somewhere in the region of here, so even just cut it short around 1.1800, still getting a really good risk to reward, depending on what entry you get, of course. If we go down to 4 hour, make this a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner. So you could have something like this tucked nicely behind this zone, and then you could have a beautiful 6. So let's just call it 1.1800. So you could have a nice 5 to 1 risk 2%. Get a pretty good entry, pretty good return. Or you could even have something like this. It just depends on what the market gives you and how it actually reacts to this level, what candlestick it gives us, what entry signal it gives us, what type of entry signal it gives us. Is it a really strong one? Is it quite a weak one? You get all these different types of variables, so it's really just understanding when to really grab an opportunity, or when to, signs are there but still I'm not too sure, and just sort of sit back and leave it. So that's what we're looking for on GBP, CHF. You get a nice risk to reward here, and you're risking 2%. You could easily be making 20%, but this is a long-term play. As you can see, the target is 810 pips, but with the significance of this break and then coming back down and then closing in again, in the nature and structure of the price action, you could easily see that we are forming a really nice bearish structure. So there's absolutely no reason why price will continue to sink all the way back down to these levels. But again, monitoring the trades is going to be absolutely key once we do get in them, to make sure that does come to fruition for us. And if it doesn't, we get out early, we bank some profits. If it does, great, we can maybe even scale in and add another position. So last pair for the week is gold. Alright, gold is quite an interesting pair. It's not really been doing too much recently, but we have broken this bearish trend line. Now we have broken this bullish trend line, but we are coming into really big area of what was support. Then it became resistance. Now it's become support again. So typically I'm looking for buy positions back up to the tops of these previous highs. As you can see here, we've had a really nice double top previously, from the 9th of November and the 6th of January. So that's what we're looking for on gold. Buy positions back up into this region, roughly at 196.000. Again, extremely long-term play. We might actually just monitor the markets, take some quick profits, and then look to scale in further. But this is what we are looking at for this week. Again, we have some on the red list which are in the future, but if any do come to fruition and they are able to be taken action on sooner rather than later, we will update you. Of course, we're going to be keeping up with the posts on the Facebook and Instagram and the online community, so please don't hesitate to ask us any questions. If you are stuck on any pairs or any analysis, or you want us to look over any trades, don't hesitate. And as always, we will see you in the very next week's weekly watch list.